Okay. It's already been an interesting morning. It's been an interesting overnight session. Welcome everyone to the morning show. Spencer Israel, Steve Strazza, with you this morning. That was just kind of my reaction. Last night was, in front of the computer, watching the overnight markets, watching the foreign markets open, watching the futures, and yeah. Um, Remember last week? It was Friday, right? Remember Friday when we were saying like, "Hey, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's hanging in there pretty well, right?" Well, yeah, not so fast. Not so fast. It turns out. So a lot to talk about today. Today, actually, you know what? Last week, the end of last week was so interesting, and this week has been already very volatile. We're doing something a little bit different here on Stock Market TV. So here's what's going to happen. I've got Strazza. Okay, he's here. Him and I are going to go. We've got Kenny. We've got Herb Greenberg and Jeff Mackey joining us at the same time today. That's going to be fun. What we're going to do is at 9:30, we're going to hop off. And then at 9:45, Strazza will hop back on. Different stream. If you're watching us on YouTube, you'll be redirected automatically. If you're watching us on Twitter, there will be a tweet. If you're watching on our site, stockmarkettv.com, the video will be there as well. So at 9:45, Strazza will hop back on after the open and basically just, I guess, live trade / talk you through what he's doing in the moment. So that's the plan. We're here till 9:30, then Strazza 9:45 solo run. And yeah, it's going to be one of those days. It's a fast market. Do me a favor and drop a like. Where is JC? Still at the beach. We'll be back on Friday, I think. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, Friday. So here we go. Let's start the show. Whoa. Hey.
Am I coming through okay?
Great, man.
It's a little hot back there.
You're good.
It's my bed. Yeah. Look, I had to drive 4 hours to do a wellness check on the big man.
Yeah, I believe you.
You know, but seriously, he made me put my phone away at dinner last night. And what I should have said is, no, you're going to sit here and look at me while Bitcoin breaks into the 70s. Because that's exactly what was happening. Like we were there. We could have live charted it. You saw it coming from a million miles away. It was the last thing holding up. Who would have thought Bitcoin would be the last man standing?
God.
In this market. Seriously. Didn't have that on my bingo card. Is gold safe? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Look, I feel bad for the people who had to sit next to us last night. What's going on, Miami? Why are they seating people so close to each other? There's a wide open restaurant. They're putting everybody like in a line. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is it easier for the waiters and waitresses? I feel sorry for them too. Dude, finally, 12:30, they just turned the lights on. JC didn't flinch.
How late was this dinner? What the hell?
Well, he's a late dinner guy, so I'm not gonna lie. I did a double.
All right. What the hell? Yeah, I was in Philadelphia this weekend. I was traveling, and you know what? When you travel as you are and as I just did, especially right now, it's a very interesting sort of experiment to be like, okay, like how pervasive, how many people are actually like paying attention to this? Because, obviously most normies are not obsessed with the stock market every single day like we are. I don't know about you. I overheard 3 different conversations this weekend about, not about the market, but it was about tariffs. I heard 3 different mentions of tariffs as I was in Philadelphia gallivanting and doing things. And so that to me that's a lot. 3 is a lot for one weekend, right? To be hearing random people talking about this stuff. So it's out there. Yeah, it's out there.
Definitely out. It's always hard for me to gauge sentiment like that, Spencer, but I did have a neighbor actually knock on my door and ask about the market. So like we're getting that. Jamie Dimon. You think Jamie Dimon works or does he just talk?
Well,
So Jamie
he's not the
Dimon
only one talking.
said,
They're all talking this morning.
you know what? Nobody cares about Jamie Dimon. It's a recession. You're going to tell us now things are bad? He's going to come out and tell us now. You know who nailed this? Best in the business. These guys are probably just absolutely printing money. The folks over in Stamford, Connecticut, and Steve Cohen is talking way ahead of this thing, right? Why coming out and talking about how bad it is now is not helpful for anybody. Some of these hedge fund managers absolutely nailed it, though.
Didn't Jamie Dimon come out after when we got the Trump bump in November? Didn't he say like, "Oh, this is great. This is awesome. 2 thumbs up, everybody." Right? Isn't that what he said? Pretty sure that's what he said. So
Dude, I'm so over Jamie Dimon.
I don't know.
Been over Jamie Dimon for 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know. But they're all out this morning. Jamie Dimon's out. The hedge fund guys are out. Ackman, Loeb, they're all out. Everyone's out. It's out. Where people are talking, right? So
I don't even want to turn on the TV.
Let's do a quick state of the markets because there are markets and they are stating. So we should probably talk about that.
Okay. I'm literally not reading through this. I'm not reading.
You don't want to? Do you want me to? Do you want me to?
It's an absolute bloodbath. Here's what you should know. The S&P 500 is up 3% this morning.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
The S&P 500
absolutely ripping off the lows. This shit was, dude, we were looking at like down 5-6% last night.
Up 3%.
That's right.
What?
All of these 3%. It's up 3%. 3% off the lows.
Oh, from last night. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There you go. Hey, listen, you got to start somewhere. Take your wins in this environment. Of all of the potential catalysts for a new bear market, would you guess tariffs?
That's the thing about bear markets is no one freaking knows, right? Like, would you have guessed pandemic?
Tariffs.
No, never in a million years would I have guessed pandemic. It happened, right? So, I don't know.
And it's going to happen this way next time too, and the time after that. It's just, it's fun to reflect. I wouldn't have, in a million years, I wouldn't have told you tariffs were going to do this.
Okay, let's just.
How about these magazines? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I just want to run through. I mean, Europe is getting shellacked, right?
Yes.
Asia,
good word.
Hong Kong down 13%, Shanghai down 7.5%, Nikkei down almost 8%. We talked about Bitcoin. I mean, getting just destroyed. We got the Bitcoin down 2.5%. That's obviously just since midnight. Yeah, that's just since midnight. Man. Where else? I mean, all of Europe, basically every global market, right? Every international market is down.
No, but like they're down huge, Spencer. This is worst day in God
France down 5%. Germany down. What's that 7%?
4.5% on the. I'm seeing 4.5% on the DAX, but the Shanghai Composite, they're blowing a hole in China right now. 7.5% in the Shanghai. Dude, the Hang Seng is down like 13%.
You are. That, right? That was the first thing I saw this morning. 13.
Look, in true bear markets, Spencer, there is nothing is safe. There's nowhere to hide. They come for everything. So you can look at this in one of two ways. Middle of last week, we're talking on Wednesday. Hey, the financials are holding up great. Hey, look at Europe, right? We're asking questions like, is Europe really going to hold with this going on in the US, right? Probably not. Like we were kind of like looking for those dominoes to fall. XLF got absolutely slayed. It was down like 7% Friday. Europe, broken, right? They totally took them down. Then you have things like the defensive sectors. Okay, staples. How about that relative strength from healthcare? Slaughtered Friday. How about gold, right? Gold's been a good place to hang out. Gold's safe. Gold is the perfect safe haven. Killed gold. Look at what happened to silver. Oh, Bitcoin? Oh, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks different. Bitcoin's going to hold up. Last night they took it down. What is still holding? Is there anything that they haven't taken down yet? We're probably near a tradable low. I don't know what's left to get sold.
Well, then it becomes a
Absolute watch-out
question.
levels.
Okay, so if there's nothing left to get sold, then it's a question of how much more left is there to sell, right? Of things, because in some respects, like here we are this morning, the selling kind of just started, right? For Europe, it just started. For gold, it just started, right? I mean, that didn't just start in America, but it just started in other places. So, the selling.
Is my internet not good? I just paid $20 for this
You're
internet. It
okay.
better
You're
not
okay.
suck.
Right. I mean, bottoms form when selling is exhausted. I mean, I don't know. It seems like
Here's
we
what I'll
kind of
say.
just
This is
start. We
enough.
kind of just started.
This is enough for me. Yeah, but no, Spencer, the way it goes is you're going to have some huge face ripper counter trend move. Then they'll sell that again. I'm not saying like the lows
No.
for the cycle are in, but I'm saying for right now, a couple green candles, a little rally, get people excited.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want it, people jumping out windows and stuff soon.
No.
This kind of price action. This is financial crisis kind of stuff.
We have the chart. You want to bring Grant's chart up? I saw that stat from Dietrich last night or this morning. So the S&P fell 4% Thursday, 4% Friday, right? And if it were to fall 4% today, it would be the first time since the Great Depression that we've fallen 4% 3 days in a row.
Yeah. And look, a chart like this isn't by itself a reason to go out and buy. However, the data is real here. This kind of selling, I mean, you're really close at this point. Look at where these red horizontal lines are drawn. Did it happen more than once in 08? Am I
This is
seeing
back
that
to
right?
back 4% down days.
Yeah, I think you got 2 red lines in there, though, at least. So, look, it doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean that there can't be more, but
If you have to go back to the 1930s, I mean, Great Depression, sheesh.
You got to see, you got to buy. You don't buy weakness. That's what you don't do, right?
Okay.
You get a big red to green ripper today. Like you got to wait for something. So, like one bullish candle, 2 would be a lot better, right? A little bit of follow through there, confirming that maybe buyers are back, even if just for a couple days. But you don't just go buying blindly a red candle in this kind of tape. I mean, the global indexes, Spencer, we were asking, are they going to follow? Had to think kind of with every day that passed, right? And more selling pressure in the US, you had to think, God, they're going to come for Europe. Did I think they would come like this?
Yeah.
Did I think they would clobber China? What a delayed reaction. Am I wrong for China? What was the news this weekend? They made their announcement last week. Why didn't they sell it Friday?
Great question. Yeah.
Strange.
By the way, we do have I saw some chatter. Yeah, the Fed is meeting today. They do this though every so often. I wouldn't put like so much stock in like emergency Fed meeting because this is the kind of thing that they do this, right? So it doesn't mean the world is ending just because they have like a last minute meeting on the books, right? They've done this before and they'll do it again.
I still don't think there's anything the Fed.
That's the other thing, right? Is what are they going to do?
I mean, I'll tell you if I think that changes. I don't think the Fed's got nothing.
So
for this month,
this to me is this is the bottom line is technical. This to me is where technical analysis can really save your ass, right? Because it can give you a guidepost on when to get in, right? When to start taking nibbles, right? Otherwise, you're just kind of fighting blind and taking shots in the dark, and I guess that could work for you if you get lucky. But why don't you talk about that for a second? Is how are you going to use technical analysis right now to let it sort of help you make educated guesses? Because that's what it can do.
Well, you use it in a number of different ways, right? In times like this, first you want to look for washout levels, extreme oversold levels. We're there and we've been there, frankly, right? So that's not enough in and of itself, extreme oversold levels, right, to get you in. Then you need confirmation from price. So we're at the point now, Spencer, where, whatever you're going to say, I'm going to say, yeah, we're at an extreme. Sentiment, extreme. The price, extreme. We're so oversold. Absolutely getting killed out here, especially the offensive stuff. However, that's not enough to just go in blindly buy. You got to see some green shoots. We got to start moving higher, right? A potential momentum divergence or potential breadth divergence means nothing until it's confirmed by price. So, however you want to do that, right? If it's one big bullish engulfing candle and then a follow through day, you want to find a VWAP, from a big red candle from last week, use something like that to get in. Fine. There's different ways, but you got to do it on momentum. You got to do it on strength. You got to start moving in the right direction before you enter in this kind of market. And then, even when you do, rollover alert, heightened rollover alert here, right? So tight stops, don't play around, don't give them room to dance, right? Don't hold them overnight if it's too big. All that kind of stuff is in full effect, right? To protect yourself, market. I think you can trade the bounce for sure. You're going to have some of the fiercest
That's
mean reversion
that's the
rallies
thing.
in history.
Yeah, like
coming
you
off
said, we're up.
like this.
You said we're up 3% this morning. There's going to be a day when we're up like 5 or 6%, right? Like it's gonna happen. That might might not be today, but
It's going to be epic. You have to be nimble out here. You got to be ready for it, right? Don't be looking to press shorts right now, right? Be making your shopping list, preparing to get long and trade what I think is going to be a face ripping counter trend move.
yeah.
Look for the bullish momentum divergences. Chart Kid was texting me last night. So discretionary is the only sector with a bullish momentum divergence. It's interesting. I continue to find home builders just they're fascinating me here, Spencer. The home builders. I really like it. Even
What?
look
They're
at it
getting.
today.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it because they were the first to go?
this is great. They're not getting look at this thing. Talk about a
Do we have a
bullish
chart?
momentum. Look,
Lon, do
we'll
we have a
talk about
chart?
it more at 9:45. No, I think, should I do live charts at
Yeah,
9:45? We'll
definitely.
think about it. I don't love it from the laptop, but prior cycle highs coming. Yeah, yeah, Fonz. Um, look, S&P 500 is basically there. Talk about downside levels. Blake texted me this weekend. What are the downside levels? I said, it doesn't matter. Not going to hold. You just got to wait for some green shoots. Simple as that. S&P 500, as far as I'm concerned, that's a retest of the prior cycle highs. All the way back there. Holy cow.
Should we be looking at the first victims of this? So semis, homies, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
I want to see relative
yeah.
lows.
All right.
Because the ones that are showing relative strength and leadership right now, it's going to be a lot of defensive stuff. If I can find something offensive that's been showing relative strength, those are the kinds of scans we're running. There's just not much.
There is
Not much.
nothing of any significance with
Yeah,
any volume up this morning.
I'm not rushing in. Look, we bought calls Friday, right? We're gonna literally just drip them out, Spencer. Like one a day. We're not. If we come out and do 3 or 4, it's gonna be much higher conviction. It's just not ready for that. Not ready for that. But the stuff that we're in is showing some relative strength. Healthcare continues to be interesting, but I don't think that's the right vehicle. I don't think that's the right spot. We'll talk more about it at 9:45. We'll also talk about the high yield wavy HYG. Absolutely. Whenever the absolute trend goes like that, the HYG IEI, I think, is one of the most important ratios we look at. And whenever the absolute trend breaks, right, then you look through to the ratio and you can kind of anticipate where it's going to go. It's not looking good out there with high yield breaking down below that VWAP from the late 2023 lows back in the box. J&K doesn't look any better. The Fallen Angel fund's really bad out there. Worst day since. Shout out worst day since. It's a worst day since kind of market.
It's going to be. Yeah. Well, I mean,
everybody get your stats out.
We're going back to COVID as far as the VIX is concerned, right? I mean, VIX is at what? What did it get to 60? VIX hit 60 overnight. It's at 49 now. It's worst day since 2020. It's worst day since Great Recession. It's that way across the board, right?
Wow. Ives cut his
yes, I didn't get a chance to see. I didn't get a chance to see anything beyond that. I don't know what his notes said. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know if it was tariffs. I don't know whatever. Yeah. I don't know what it was. But yes, it was a very significant. And he's still a huge bull, right? But whatever he said, obviously. I mean, yeah, as Wavy said, if you lose Dan Ives, kind of the most. Yeah,
that's interesting. It is sentiment. I mean, Dan is awesome. He's one of the best in the business. He's been really right for a really long time when it comes to these mega growth stocks.
Someone just said I should check my fart coin. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, look, you're not going to get a policy shift. I'm just reading through the chat. It's not. I think you're still a ways out from that. unfortunately. MicroStrategy is fine. 100%, guys. Bitcoin continues to stand out.
Look, relative strength in these shit coins. I kid you not. I'm not joking.
They're getting let's not. They're getting absolutely hosed. The whole space, right? It's a sea of red. In crypto. However, right, relatively speaking, when you look at the selling that's been going on in the stock market, the way that the indexes, these are developed market indexes. The Hang Seng, the DAX. I mean, these are huge sell-offs. And then you put that in the context, put Bitcoin's down 5% move in the context of everything else you're seeing. Relative strength, my friend. What, down 1%? Well, yeah, okay. A lot of it happened last night. Still, you see Bitcoin, it's a little scoopty-doopty here back into the 80s. Let's go,
also,
baby.
it's not even 9 o'clock yet. It is way too soon to be saying relative strength, relative strength, relative strength. Can't do it.
Again, just rollover alert, rollover alert, rollover alert. I wonder how Kenny's doing.
I also wonder how Kenny's doing. Let's find out. Kenny's here. So let's talk to him and let's see what he's doing.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't cuffing my clock, they tuck it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Glick. You've been all about how this is the greatest time since '99 to be a trader. What are you thinking this morning?
I'm a little slow, so let me just gather my thoughts. I was up and out. I was trying to get up in intervals of like 2 hours just to see how the futures were doing. Well, we're below the target, so the QQQ 420 was the target, but this is still the greatest environment to be a trader by far. I mean, there's not too many times where you can make 200 to 300 points on an NQ futures trade with, I'm not going to say no risk, obviously, but when you're trading VWAP and you see it and you just trade like you're an algorithm, you see the algorithm for what it is. It's just price action. And even my nephew, who I just introduced to the wonderful world of VWAP, he said, so if a stock breaks over the VWAP and then pulls back and holds it and starts to rally, you want to buy right there and use VWAP as your out. I'm like, well, there you go. Congratulations, son. You don't have to go to college now. And my niece is debating what school to go to right now, and they're already talking about maybe they can't send their son to school because now they're seeing prices for the first time, and she has Syracuse on the list. I'm like, yeah, send him over here. The guy seems to know what he's doing. He's been watching every VWAP course there is and stuff online, and just he sat with me for a couple of times. So it's just a regular day. And again, I wish I was shorting. I wasn't buying puts this whole time. I've been selling naked calls on the QQQ, collecting premium on the way down. Again, when this is so reminiscent to '99, it's not even funny. And again, if you think about it just as a stock, it's a $540 stock, the QQQ, that just dropped 23%. So what? We've seen this story again. Again, the bigger picture is a self-induced crash by the president, whatever. I think the market was going to go down anyway because, one of the things I learned as a shorter, the oil tanker was my first lesson. And my mentor said the market's like an oil tanker. It's very hard for an oil tanker to make a right turn. It has to go up. If it wants to turn around in direction, it has to go up, turn around, and then start going back the other way. So, in fact, it's got to make this big, massive U. And we saw that U late February, and the market got back up to new highs and then couldn't hold them for more than a day. And that was when I was like, hey, there's something going on here. And the volatility products woke up right there at the end of February. And then we broke the January lows, and that's when we started talking about QQQ to 420. Here we are. So, I mean, it's just like, just any other stock. So if you look at it like that, let me show you. I don't have the charts up right now, but when you look at it just like any other day or any other trade like we do, okay, then it's just the same trade every day. There's just a little bit more volatility, and volatility is good for us. Yeah, let me show you what I'm talking about.
Yes, please.
Let me get this chart up. So here you are. You guys know about the faux show, bro, right? Here's your NQ futures. So yesterday you had this one moment You walked in, it was down, I think about 800, wound up getting down 1,000. And then you had that capitulatory moment. That's your fake out, shake out. Now, this was kind of the first attempt that we made to buy and make some money. It worked, but you promptly better get out. And it looked like it was going to be a bad out. And then we had this another capitulation moment. And then after that, I went back to go watching 1923, which is the most dramatic show I've ever been.
I've heard terrible things about the finale. I've never seen the show.
Oh, no, it was a great finale. It's a great show. I'm still emotionally.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm torn apart. I mean, the show is just it's hard to watch it sometimes, but my God, it was amazing. It was so good. So I woke up again this morning. I tried to stay up at 3:00 in the morning. It's why I'm kind of like out of my mind right now. Here it is. So there's the lows from the beginning of the afternoon. Sorry, the evening. So 6 p.m. we went live. Here's some volatility. I traded it once. It was all right. I was hoping for it to rip back to the highs of the 6 p.m. session at the time. Immediately rolls over. I'm out. Took a little bit of money. But then here it is again. So this moment where it breaks a new low and then it comes right back. Then it breaks VWAP. So there's the reason to buy. But more importantly, if you woke up around 5:30 in the morning, I just missed it. So I got up around 6. There's the test of strength. So even though we're in this awful moment of time on the downside, there's that moment of strength, kind of like right here at back when I went to go watch TV. There it is again. So as long as we test strength from above, hold the VWAP, now at least you can buy it where you're having limited risk, because if it breaks back under there, you're going to have to sell. And the breakout area right here was that moment. So you're going to have to risk, 50 to 70 points. But the idea is you're trying to make 200 to 300, which these numbers are amazing. I mean, you're not normally talking about 100-point moves on the NQ futures. But, here we are. And then fast forward to today when the market, if you want to go right back to the Qs, the NQ futures are the Qs. We've tried to break down now 3 or 4 times. I think we're going to break down. But any green on the screen on UVXY, you still have to imagine there's sellers out there. UVXY has to blow the top off. And again, UVXY only at 49, I'm not happy about that. I want to see yen carry scare. I want to see UVXY back to August highs and then capitulate, because we didn't get there. UVXY was as high as $65 in the pre-market. And basically held a bid for 3 or 4 days. I want to see that fear, because again, this market, especially like 2 Fridays ago, is still just a very controlled sell-off. It seems like it's all under control, and there's really not that immense amount of.
Dare I say, orderly? It's an orderly sell-off.
It still is. It really still is. And again, I'm loving it. I mean,
everybody drink. It's
very controlled.
I was watching your charts. You just reminded me last night. I was at my desk at like 6:30. I was opening up my charts, and the first thing I get from Thinkorswim is a pop-up message reminding me about circuit breakers. This is last night. And I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
They're reminding me that circuit breakers are a thing. That this cannot be good.
Right.
Second thing is just to clarify, the blue line, that's today's VWAP, right?
Today's VWAP is the blue line. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I think we're going to roll over because, I'm just playing the trend. The trend is we've had pre-market, we've had overnight dip buys. We've had the dip buys in the pre-market, and then the regular session kicks in where most people, again, a lot of people don't do the selling until the open. So once we roll over, and again, I'm going to look to short the Qs if we break down here again, because chances are we are going to test that 400. And we're going back. If you look at this 3-year chart, which is what I'm looking at, here's the 2-year chart. Look how beautiful this is. Here's your 2-year chart. That's a 2-year VWAP. And that's why we said, hey, look, if we break down under the 465, we're probably going to give way to that 2-year VWAP, which was roughly the 420, which was also the August lows. It just made sense to think we were going to get there. We got there. Now it's time to panic, overshoot to the downside. And there's still, right here, some of the levels we just hit this morning, the 410, and there's the 398. So now we're back to these levels here. Will there be a massive exodus at the open? Well, I'll know in a second. But, look, if we break down from here, we have this low level right there, which is the 394. That's where we flirted with last night. I think we're going back to test it one more time. If it doesn't hold, we're basically, we're looking at the consolidation just 10 points lower. If we give back 385, then it's going to be full on just 12% to the downside today. But again, the buy on dips, the dippers were there. You just got to remember, buy the dip. Also, you have to sell the rip, and that's kind of how we trade. So this is just, it's exciting. Just trying to stay focused.
Yeah, if you're willing to buy the dip, you got to be willing to sell the rip also, right? Yeah,
right. We're not
easier said than done.
Right. We're not talking about building portfolios here. Even though I promised if I ever saw Apple at 175, I'd probably buy the stock back. We're only 8 points away. I didn't think we'd see 175.
Dude, I've been talking to myself about buying Amazon for like $50 now.
Yeah.
I said at 200, I should probably buy Amazon. It's at 170. I haven't done it yet, but I probably should one of these days.
Right. The thing is that's the thing about most bears are just angry because they missed the bull market.
Right.
And then you have the camp where they go, man, if this market ever pulls back, I'm definitely buying. And then it finally pulls back and they're like, well, I ain't buying anything.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm doing a lot of thinking. I'm thinking about buying things. I just haven't done anything yet. I like to think for a long time. You got to let it marinate. You got to let it ruminate for weeks at a time, and then
I usually procrastinate myself out of buying.
Yes. Oh, dude, no one does that more than me. I that's why I went. I sold all my trades like 2 weeks ago. Strazza has been pounding the table for 2.5 months. And I got around to it 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, but it's crazy that, and again, if you stayed focused on some of the weirdo stocks, like, I don't know if you guys are watching AREB, right? So just for instance, let's just say you ignored the crash. You saw strength in Newsmax, unusual strength. You're looking for some strength, unusual strength. Newsmax was the safe haven on Thursday. And then Friday, you had a couple of AI names, and you also had AREB, which didn't care about anything. This thing was ripping and ripping and ripping higher. So if you're looking at the right place, and again, that's what we do. We go where the action is. Yeah, I mean, the Qs was an easy short this whole time, but and again, did you stay short the whole time? This is what I'm saying is. This is still the greatest trading market I've seen in a very long time. The worst thing that could happen is that we get to that where nobody wants to do anything. I think there's too much money involved, and I haven't seen, a stagnant market. I don't want to conjure up old wounds about 9/11, but those 8 months, those 6 or 8 months after 9/11, those were the only times where I've seen where trading was just absolutely dead because nobody wanted to do anything. We were just sitting there, in shock. I hope we don't get to that point again. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's just way too much money involved. And when the market starts to bounce, everyone's going to chase back in and we'll be off to the races. And then we'll, again, dipping and ripping and rolling. I do think we're still going to go sideways for quite some time. And that's why I've been selling premium.
All right. Wait, Kenny, a question from the chat, and then we'll let you run. What do you want to see from the VIX/UVXY to get more active?
I want to see UVXY over 50. And I want to be short. I want to be short in the market today. And then I'm really looking to. I've been waiting for this moment. I don't know if you guys know about me in the UVXY. I had a very over leveraged position. I almost lost my home. Awful. So I've been sitting here waiting for bloody revenge. I have an account all set up with a broker who's going to let me borrow it. I want to see full blown capitulation. I want to see UVXY spike over 50 today. And then that gets us to the Qs back to 396. And then we'll see what's up. And my first order of business, I'm going to destroy the UVXY.
I shudder at how much leverage you have at your disposal. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Just don't tell me.
Right. I'm going to get my revenge, but I'm just going to sit back and wait for it to happen. And again, if I miss the perfect opportunity, it'll be a slight miss because I'm going to nail this product right back into the 30s. It's going to happen. But right now, you do not want to be getting involved on short volatility products because listen, when the top blows off, they're all going to give way. It's going to trigger a massive rally. Just be ready for it. Just stay nimble, my friends. This is going to be a really exciting 3 or 4 days, and then we're going to be talking about airlines and banks. And next thing you know, it's going to be just like the supply chain. So now every earnings report that comes out, they're going to have to mention tariffs. It'll be just like the supply chain moment, and we'll get past this again. And the shorts will be short-lived. The next thing you know, I'm not saying we're going all-time highs anytime soon, but it's amazing how people are saying my favorite phrase, this time is different. It's never different.
It's different every time. So yes, they're right. It is different. Right.
Right.
All right. I love this. I love this so much. I love the VWAP. I love how you use it. Guys, if you want to get into Kenny's room, he's there right now. Hitthebid.com. You can get in, you can watch him trade, you can trade along with him. And this is moments like this are made for people like Kenny. So
this is it. I mean, and you got to see solid in action. We got Nos, we got my two algo guys coming together. It's working, guys. I mean, and it's just a great way to stay focused on price action. And again, just it's scary right now, especially if you have a portfolio. And my dad's getting hammered. We're talking about collars. It's a bear market when you're talking about collars. If you know about collars. But we'll talk more about collars later. I'll tell you how to. Again, it's a little bit too late to protect the portfolio, but
I don't know about that now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Good luck today. I'll see you in the room.
Yeah, see you, Kenny. All right. It is 9:09. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring on Herb Greenberg and Jeff Mackey together at the same time. We're gonna talk it out with them. They've both been through. This is not their first rodeo. They've been through crazier cycles. They were there. Front and center, Great Recession, COVID, all that jazz. We'll talk with them in a minute. How are we doing, chat? We're doing okay? We're doing good? Let's take a quick look at the market. How have things changed in the last few? Have we had any bounce? Well, yeah, we've been bouncing, as Steve pointed out. Any further? Just kind of holding steady. Let's look at oil. Oil, man. Oil below 60 this morning. Oh, my God. Oil at $58 this morning. Whew, that's tough. I don't know, man. Is 50 the new 70? I don't know. It's crazy, man. Strazza, you're around. What's going on in your world? Strazza. Okay.
I'm here. I'm just checking. Heating oil and gasoline are holding. That's really interesting. It's really interesting. So you'll see similar tops in the price structures of the other derivatives, other energy futures. Heating oil and gasoline are always, the two main ones. So crude broke that top, right? You had that breakdown level called a little neckline here. I don't know, 66, right? There's a huge shelf of pivot lows. You look at something like gasoline, hanging in, same old range it's been. It hasn't even tested the lows from December. Heating oil, that's set up for a scoop. That's real scoopy looking. Slight momentum divergence, maybe it's a stretch, but boy, if heating oil, the HO can get back above, I don't know, 205, 204. Hey now. All right,
let's bring on Herb and Jeff, and then like I said, we're gonna get off here at 9:30. Where everyone will take a beat, and then at 9:45, Steve will hop back on Solo Dome with live charts, and we will kind of just watch the open through the eyes of a one Steve Strazza. But let's bring on Mr. Greenberg. We'll get Jeff on in a sec as well, and let's have a little conversation. Let's talk about it.
Yo, Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
We got Herb.
Hey. How you guys doing?
Herb,
I know.
And we got Jeff, Mr. Mackey.
Jeff.
Oh, we can't hear you.
He's got the same iPod. He's got the AirPod thing going on.
Yeah, Jeff, switch the AirPods. They never seem to work correctly. Herb, how are we doing this morning, man?
Well, I'm probably a lot better than you guys because I don't have to try to make the call every 5 seconds, so I can sit back, have a little perspective, sit there with affected like everybody else with my personal stuff, but it's talking to my friends over the weekend, people who are engaged, people who manage their own money and manage a lot of it, and see how they're doing, listening to things, reading things, engaging on social media a bit because I just can't not vent right now. And so it's just another day in life for me, but it's really not, because we've been here. I'm angry on some levels, like I think a lot of people are, because the way this is viewed, obviously, as you say in the intro, you said that Jeff and I have seen a lot of things historically, and we've lived through them, and we've talked about them, and we've been around them. The difference here, of course, is this is self-inflicted and people are trying to spin it. And one thing I can see a million miles away is spin. And I see the spin right now all over. I saw it on the shows yesterday, where you have people trying to spin a story positively. And, that's spin. And then even today, some people saying, but the markets have it wrong. Oh, yeah? You're telling the world markets they have it wrong? No, they're reacting. And what I think really is going on here is I think the administration has lost control of the narrative, because, as I've put on social media, crisis communications 101 is very simple. Control the message. They not control, they're trying to control the message, but every time they try to control the message, it gets out of control. So in any event, right now, and that makes it much more difficult, and you're starting to see infighting, and you're starting to see people flip-flop on what they think, and you're seeing the smart people disagree with one another when they were just agreeing a few weeks ago. So everything's nice in theory, and then comes practice and reality. And now we'll just have to get through this, and obviously there will be buying opportunities along. It'll be interesting to watch what you guys do with your charts and others and folks do realistically. And then how long all this takes to sort itself out. There's nobody who can sit here and tell you they know how this is going to end, when this is going to end, if the buying opportunity is today, tomorrow, next week, or last week. And I think I'm speaking the truth.
So I'm sure, like me, you guys are having lots of conversations right now. I had more than one last week with some global macro folks who are telling me that just some basic math, applying the new tariff numbers around the global markets, that we should be down a lot more than we even are right now.
Oh my God, we absolutely should be down.
Are you hearing this? Like a lot more.
Infinity more.
If
Infinity
what's
more.
being
Infinity more.
We should be down literally infinity more. I wrote about it today. They changed the rules at the casino. Like if you change the rules halfway through, it's the placard. It's when he held up that ridiculous piece of tag board, and it was just like every country on Earth, and at rates that kind of just shut down the whole planet. Now you can make a whole argument about tariffs, Herb. I hear what you're saying. I love the energy, man. It's nice to see a feisty. It's nice to see a little angry, because I think we can all use a little anger right now. There's nothing wrong with that. But when he held up the signs, we had been promised kind of 10% tariffs, maybe targeted tariffs, kind of something that made a little coherent sense. And then it just became this sort of random, not very intellectually rigorous series of numbers that literally just shut down business, that are just like every country on Earth is going to be subject to this. If you're any merchant of any sort, you immediately have to stop orders, because you can't be the sucker that pay. These are obviously an opening bid at best. That's the bullish case. It's like, these batshit numbers are our opening bid, and then we're going to negotiate everything. Well, that doesn't help me if I'm trying to order Christmas or back to school product. That because it's going to be a problem paying 90% tariffs on my Vietnamese goods when that's where I buy everything. I was in Viore yesterday. Everything's made in China. That company's IPO has been delayed until never. Is when
was it China or was it China? By the way, China or Vietnam? I thought a lot of it's Vietnam. I can go look in the tags in my drawer.
My point, Herb, is that it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't even matter a little bit whether it's China.
By the way, Jeff,
not even kind of. That's the whole point. Gap sources from 30 different countries. They're the most PC sourcer.
It doesn't matter.
Seriously, Gap will give you a factory if you have like 5 guys and a goat. They'll just be like, "Would you like to make T-shirts? We'll market it as Earth friendly, and it'll be awesome." And they're getting hammered just like everyone else. Your sourcing doesn't mean anything, and so you can't have arbitrary rules.
I got to say one other thing here that it gets lost in this, because you talk retail. If you want to shift it over to industrial, there's something going on that people aren't talking a lot about, and that is this story that Reuters had on Friday about Howmet Aerospace. That's HWM.
Yeah.
And they they basically said they are using emergency powers to basically stop supplying their customers with the type of products they have, which are everything aerospace for Boeing and Airbus. And so that's the tier 2 suppliers. So think about this. Tier 2 suppliers are like the tail potentially wagging the dog of this economy right now. So you start seeing some of that go on. It doesn't get the attention because no one's as focused on it. Very important.
Okay, so we should do some bullish case. It's not for nothing. All bottoms, but this has in common with every single bottom is it's absolutely pitch black. Darkest before the dawn. That's a saying for a reason. It's you're looking for a light at the end of the tunnel. Every single one is a train, or it's just pitch black. There is nothing coming down the tracks that's particularly good right now because we need to move back on these tariffs like yesterday. Because again, you froze business. If you're a small merchant, I focus on the consumer because it's like it's if you're a small company just selling T-shirts, if you're selling anything, you can't restock anything. What happens first in any of this, the supply chain just freezes. It freezes pretty much just like COVID because you can't afford to operate at these margins right now. And you certainly, as a CFO, you're going to be out of there in 2 seconds if you actually take the bait and pay the tariffs as listed right now, destroy your earnings for God knows how long, if not your entire balance sheet. And then they cut the tariffs, by 95% tomorrow, which seems pretty much on the table because it seems like just a random madman is making these rates. So, but then again, the COVID shutdowns didn't seem solvable. The great financial crisis certainly didn't seem solvable. That's not a bullish thesis.
Well, nothing ever
That's
seems
just
solvable, and nothing ever seems solvable. And we all know it is solvable, and we know how it's felt in the past. The big difference is right now, this was self-induced. So that makes it a little harder to game. Not that any of them are ever easy to game. So here gets the big question, Jeff, that you're sitting there with your portfolio.
Let me just interject really quickly. The great financial crisis didn't happen because space aliens hit us with a laser beam. I believe that was self-induced as well. It was just a little.
It was self-induced in a different way, Jeffrey. It was self-induced by overconfidence with leverage that people put on. This is basically coming from a different direction. I'll agree with you. They're just two different levels and types of self-induced. Now, the question we have right now, though, is that everybody sitting here, anyone doing any of this, all they really care about, they don't care about us pontificating. All they want to know is what the hell do they do? And by the way, that assumes they're not today dealing with forced selling, if indeed they are forced with margin calls, because, you get, fear selling begets forced selling, begets fear selling until it stops. I don't know when it stops. Maybe it stops today. So what do you do? So what do you do today if you are an investor? There's the buy the dip crowd, which has been working until it doesn't. And then there will be a bottom, and that bottom could be today, it could be next week, it could be next month. But what do? You look at individual companies, you know what you own, if indeed you're that type of an investor as opposed to a trader. And then you place your bets.
Place your bets based on what? You have the numbers don't matter. I'm not sure how to say this, but when everyone says, the S&P is trading at 20 times forward earnings, they are going to take an absolute samurai sword to earnings estimates like you will not effing believe over the next 3 weeks. There is nobody going to be estimating anything.
You're scaring everyone, Jeff.
I'm not trying.
I think the big question is,
he's speaking the truth. He's speaking the truth.
Happy. I'm in a good mood.
And plus the sun. You see that sunrise, Jeffrey? Nice sunrise.
Yeah, we're fine.
What is the uncle point? I'm pretty discouraged by the rhetoric from the administration that they don't seem to want to blink on this at all. Nowhere's near it. That's what we're hearing from them. So how far does this go? Do we eventually, is enough enough? Does the U.S. finally blink? What do you guys think? How does this end?
Compared this to cash and fetal. When I was on television in 2008 and Dylan asked me how things were going, I think the market was down 800 points, or it might even been up 900 points that day. It was that kind of market. And we're due for like a 9% snapper, by the way, any second. But that's a side point. But Radigan asked me, what's your favorite two positions? And I said cash and fetal, and it made the New York Times. It was a little moment in history. But the point is this. That was kind of a late stage kind of emotion. That was the sentiment out there, was there's no real hope. Just climb under your desk and sit there. That lasted for 6 months. That lasted for 6 more months and 40% on the S&P. What am I doing right now, Herb? I'm making a little fort of cash bricks under my desk, and I'm just kind of chilling because you can't buy stocks without rules. They changed the rules. And so what's my earnings estimate? I don't know. Is Gap even going to resupply? Like, are we literally just going to sell through our entire inventory of retail and then kind of just wait? Because we're like, you literally can't buy shoes right now. 90% of Nike stuff comes from 3 different countries, all of which have margins now that really don't support Nike making shoes no one wants anyway. So I'm not saying that the world ends. This is going to work out, just because if you believe it's not, then it's time to start learning some foreign languages really fast. But because we're going to have to switch allegiances in terms of if you want to be a capitalist. But chill. If you have cash, just relax. Follow the news, but take your eyes off the screen. Golf, anyone? My man Bill says, and it's like, Bill, man, call me and let's play 18.
Golf sounds good, Bill. Listen, I want to ask both of you. Speaking of making a shopping list, is there anything in the world of retail, Jeff, all of your universe that you follow, Herb, anything that you're finding interesting from a not affected or less affected standpoint from all of this? Is there anybody insulated on your watch list who you're thinking, oh, this could be a good one for a bounce, or no?
Without stability, it's impossible to do it, because with 2 things, the numbers as presented are unworkable. So that makes a lot of businesses just go away. Like RH, why is that a bottomless pit? Because they really are just, they're going to sell through their inventory and not even have a business after that. This is going to impact your.
You ever heard of conference?
What's that?
You ever heard a conference call like that one last week?
Yeah, because I listen to Gary all the time, so he's always a little bit of a trip. But I've never heard someone get their real-time stock quote. That was quite a glimpse into a man's painful soul, and it's just like it's only gonna get worse. But it was really he kind of handled it a little bit like a champ, at least to the extent he could. He tried to put a positive face on it, but it closes down his business. When they're holding up that tag board, if you're Nike, if you're RH, it's like, this just shuts me down. Like we're not doing anything until this reconciles. And so whether it's self-inflicted, whether it's because we're doing COVID, it's like, that's a huge problem. And pretending like that's not a huge problem is just kind of lunatic stuff. It's like, no, we're like, you can't do business.
Jeff, why do you think Vietnam was up 2% Friday in all this?
There was chatter
flat out here today.
That's why the stocks the world wasn't so down, because Vietnam was coming to the table, supposedly. That was a rumor that was leaked, a story that was leaked. It may or may not be true. The administration is saying that there's a bunch of countries, and that changes the game. Like that gives a foothold, if you will. Okay. I come at it from apparel, and so that's just like this huge, they're doing just an enormous percentage of anything that you basically put on your body, but that's also true in a lot of electronics as well. Now, they're called a clearing agent for China. Super sticky little problem there, but that was one source of product for the rest of the world, or kind of my portion of the world. That at least gave companies like Nike, like Gap, like American Eagle, a place that they could go. The idea was that they could kind of move their shipping around a little bit. They've all had a lot of improvements to the supply chain since COVID, and now it's just kind of worthless.
Well, a lot of this talk about onshoring stuff and bringing things back to America, first of all, is just it's absolutely crazy. It won't happen. It's literally impossible. But to move a factory from China to Vietnam may be far more feasible.
Completely. No, that is the idea. That's why you have multiple suppliers. Is remember, there's a function of COVID and a bunch of policies that encourage this flight from China into other nations. Was that you produce in different places? Who's going to get shut down by COVID next? We don't know, but we can kind of shift it through here and there. Now there's limits to that, but if you have a Vietnam coming through, all of a sudden I have math I can do. All of a sudden I can really kind of dig into my spreadsheets and be like, okay, who's sourcing most from these guys? If I have a 90% kind of supply from Vietnam, that's great, man. That's aces. Like this I've disproportionately won, and all of a sudden you can research stocks again and find them and be like, holy cow, these guys have the best supply chain. They're all Vietnam. Like they're the only ones that are going to be selling T-shirts for under $55 in the next 3 weeks. Like, this is fantastic. But when it's just sweeping the way it is, the bullish case is that somebody buckles, that people come to the table. That's the likely case, but you can't really apply any math until this starts happening in a tangible way.
And how the hell long does it take?
Yeah, it could be tomorrow.
How about you, Herb?
It could be impressive. It could literally be a tweet in an hour.
Yeah, from my lens, look, I'm looking obviously for ideas to red flag, things where there are potential problems. So right now you can say, well, good luck with that. But But
Throw
the
dark.
reality is there are going to be companies, and this is where it gets interesting. You know, people usually often say, hey, the valuation's compressed. And I always say, yeah, you get far more compressed. And in this case, it's the companies I'll be looking for are companies that relied on gimmickry, whether it was accounting or otherwise. And those companies will indeed show themselves at some point here. Those are the ones you're going to want to take a look at. And that's where the accounting and other things will start to matter. And I think you've got to look at those because they may have a harder time getting out of the rut. The hyperbole took them a long way while people bought them up and everybody piled into them and they had their fun short squeezes. But now you have reality, and it's going to be an interesting time to distinguish the trash from the quality.
Find out who's swimming naked.
The old Warren
Times like
Buffett
these.
line.
You know, who's throwing naked right now? Everyone, man. We're all skinny dipping. We're all just a little naked, and the water's cold. Frankly, do any of us look great? No, it's freezing water. It's freezing water, and we're all a little shrunk.
It's tough. All right, listen, guys. Herb Greenberg. If you want more of his work,
Great guys.
herbgreenberg.com. If you want to see Jeff Mackey's work, I'm dropping the link in chat right now to his retail roundup. Herb, Jeff, thank you guys so much for coming on. I know it's early for you. But also you're up anyway, right? I mean, come on. I know you guys.
I'm waking up at like 2 a.m, man. My nostrils are all flared. There are blood in the streets. I live for this crap. I'm in a good mood. I'm not embarrassed. I feel happy. We're okay.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. Herb, thanks a lot, man.
Sure.
Take it easy.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. All right. That was great,
That was
man.
fun.
Those
That
guys
was
have
fun,
been
man.
going
Yeah,
on TV together for years. So maybe
We're
we'll do that
gonna
again.
try to get them on more.
That was great fun.
Yeah, great discussion.
Steve, I want to give you a minute to catch your breath. So we're gonna hop, and then again, I'll say it for the third time. We are gonna go back live in 15 minutes. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you will be redirected to that stream. If you're watching us on our site, stockmarkettv.com, there will be a stream there on the front page. If you're watching us on Twitter, there will be tweets. So we're gonna hop. We'll see you all. We'll see Strazza in 15 minutes. And we'll do it, and we'll see what happens. We'll do some live charts, and we'll do this thing for the open. So thank you for watching. Smash the like, and we'll see you guys in I guess a second or 2 or 10. All right.
Happy Monday, everybody. Stay safe out there.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then